Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I'd like to welcome all into our session, thanking Mubadala for hosting us at their majlis today, thanking all the team members who have worked on this, and thanking the different stakeholders and suppliers who have just joined us today. I know it's weekend, but it's never weekend for COP28. So we'd like to start a little bit of giving an introduction of who we are. I am proudly working on Aldar Properties. Aldar Properties, which is the non-supplier management choice in the region. So we at Aldar Properties are a developer that started in Abu Dhabi. The journey continued. As a developer right now, we are working on different locations within UAE, globally and internationally as well. We just recently announced as well our major stakeholder in London. We are an owner of more than 32 billion assets with a revenue of 11 billion plus, 6,000 suppliers registered within the year of 2023. We're talking about 69 million square meter of owned or controlled land bank. We're talking about 600 plus suppliers trained, and we will come and focus completely on the trained suppliers part because that's one of the most important collaborative tools we have right now. We are in 2023, 10 billion plus procurement to spend. Hopefully before the close of the year, this number will increase dramatically, and we will be announcing that soon, inshallah, at the time. Our journey within sustainability started since inception, since we started within Aldar. This is completely a journey that continued, but it needed to have a little bit of a systematic approach. That systematic approach started in 2018 with the official announcement of the establishment of the department, the Sustainability and CSR Department, which is led by my colleague Salwa Al-Miflahi. Within that journey, you see systematic approach that needs to be done as well within the region. So you start internally by establishing the team, then you move setting up on where you are standing, which started on the collection of the data at 2020, setting up and launching of your net zero plan at 2023, which was announced in January, and then putting into targets for net zero at 2030, reduction up to 50%, and moving it, inshallah, into a net zero business at 2050. And of course, when we talk about that, we're looking at it from the entire cycle, not only the cycle of the developer, the cycle of the developer, design, build, and operate and manage as well. Again, we at Aldar completely are focused at net zero plan, and we're looking at as a unique program that did not happen in the region. That's why we took the lead on it. We are the full real estate value state company that looks at the supply chain completely. We are targeting carbon emission, scope emission 1, 2, and 3, with the clear terms of how to aim to achieve it. Of course, these targets have to be connected to the different stakeholders we are dealing with, being the clients, being the tenants, being the supply chain that we are dealing with. When we're thinking the investment arm, where we have acquired in 2022 7 billion worth of assets, the green criteria of these assets was one of the major elements that made us look at these assets as well. I quote our CFO in a recent interview where the green criteria of any investment or any assets we are looking at is essential, and it's part of the due diligence exercise that the team are doing and taking it right now. When we are setting up the targets to reach 50% in 2030, we need a little bit of serious action to bend all the curves that we have of our carbon emission. Looking at our growth as a developer and as, of course, an assets owner and assets operator as well across the different companies that we own, operate, or we deal with within our supply chain. Our target of carbon emission by, if we're looking at the expansion, by the year 2050 is going to be 2.6 times what we are doing right now. So if we are targeting reducing that, we need an immediate action to put it on the right track. By 2025, we have to focus completely on our carbon emission at different scopes, scope 1 and scope 2. Definitely this will not happen by us alone. This is going to happen through the supply chain, through the suppliers, the partners, the different material providers, the design, the build and operate companies that we deal with. We looked at it from a point where we have to look at the curves that need to be exactly looked at and at which scope and how this will be targeted and how we will reduce it. Certain actions have been taken across. We will be talking about them very soon. We definitely did not wait as a developer. So we had to go a little bit and focus on our direct carbon emission, taking it into the indirect carbon emission, of course at scope 3, where we are looking at our supply chain. Looking at the numbers, if we really need to hit one of the major contributors, it could be our supply chain, which contributes to 37%. So focusing on our supply chain and the carbon footprint and the contribution of our suppliers into our supply chain could help us reducing by 37% directly into the footprint of our carbon. Of course, that is happening through different collaborative approach, different deals. We just signed in the morning one of the unique solar power projects across our assets. The numbers and figures will be announced soon. We are going to sign an integrated waste management contribution into the market of Abu Dhabi, inshallah, with other collaborative partners very soon. Again, when we talk about these partnership and the target numbers, we have to realize that this is coming from not only from decarbon footprint targets, but it has to bring in the investment arm as well there. When we look on the supply chain as a journey, our standard approach into the supply chain is more or less not going to be setting the targets only for our suppliers and performance into their performance. It's actually setting up both together different common targets. These common targets are what really will make sense to us. With collaborative, of course, with different authorities and other partners in the region. We announced in February 2023 the launch of our net zero pledge into our supply chain. This took place with collaboration with the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment, and at that time, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, happily we had 29 suppliers on board, which increased into more as we will speak about it very soon, inshallah. That national pledge that took place put us and the suppliers into different targets. The targets where we need to start sharing our carbon emission, we need to start sharing our targets, we need to be a little bit transparent of how responsible this supply chain is going to contribute. Of course, our sustainable procurement principles took place a bit long time ago. However, it was systematic when the procurement, the sustainable procurement department was established with targets that took place where we try to engage our suppliers to include their sustainability criteria. We look at the projects, we evaluate our suppliers as well from the different sustainable approaches that they are doing, their ESG records, The second principle is to promote green practices. So we've gone with our own assets, then take it completely into the next. And then our third principle is to promote circular economy. Our construction itself, we are developing on behalf of ourselves as a client, where we sell for other individual customers, and at the same time we develop for governmental entities and other clients on their behalf. So we more or less engage with green-based suppliers. We try to engage with more construction, green construction methodologies, contractors. And of course, that will not go without thinking of the well-being of their staff, their employees on the ground, which is one of the main principles that we are taking into the criteria of evaluating our suppliers. Again, we have to focus on our social part. We have to focus on the well-being of the environment, the well-being of the communities around us, and how they contribute to that completely. Going more into a little bit, these were the principles of the procurement that we talked about, and they have been more or less adapted right now within our procurement assessment. They are more or less taken by default on the procurement assessment of the different suppliers that we deal with. We started with nice to have, implemented to be right now more or less a must to have. We started to get even some of the suppliers engagement where they are increasing and they are coming with more ideas beyond what we are asking them to perform. Our outcomes of the sustainability procurement, when we talk about it, we have to measure our outcomes as well. We have to focus completely on where we are engaging our suppliers. We started again with no training at all. We started at zero training. That took place to be an increased number of sustainable training sessions. It becomes more or less 100% screening of all the suppliers attending our training. These training sessions are more or less to take our suppliers into a little bit higher steps, upscale their self at our own efforts together to take it to the next level. And of course, we have achieved more than different ESG criteria by doing that, through engaging the supply chain, through engaging the collaborative clients and other stakeholders within that. Again, we're talked about the construction sites and how we are going to connect that into the waste management of our activities. This is going to be the next level where we are looking at different integrated waste recycle materials that will be announced soon. At the same time, we advanced our design practices. So we are taking it from a design practice for low carbon design and pushing ourselves for a design of minimal PERL 3 Abu Dhabi standard. This is more or less becomes a must across our different communities, our different development right now. This would not have happened without, honestly, commitment of different suppliers across our targets together. And again, this which led us to the pledge that took place in collaboration with the Ministry of Climate Change, where we have led the real estate into that. And honestly, it was a moment of pride when we looked at the different suppliers that came across, and these are some of the names that took the lead at that time. We started with the 29 different suppliers. I see some of them are sitting and joining us today here as well. And it kept on going. So that pledge started with the 29 who decided to be among the lead with us, and it continued till now where we are having more than 67, and the number is increasing. And when we talk about that pledge, we are clearly talking about the pledge of different levels, the level where they share the data with us, and then the level where we start cooperating together on the targets. Again, that pledge is not only a matter of signing, which we will come very soon to see exactly how we implemented that post the pledge signature. When we want to achieve the real estate climate pledge, there are certain when we look about it, for Aldar itself, we need to prioritize our ESG and committed players. We need to see exactly those who are committed, those who share the data, are willing to share the data, how we can prioritize it, and then how they will be committed to decarbonize where we could reach to the target. Let's not forget the 37 number that contributes from the supply chain. This is where we can bring it down, affecting our footprint into the decarbonization. And of course, collaboratively working together where we could reduce more of the carbon emission to reach the targets. Our targets are set, and without the contribution of the different social responsible and committed suppliers, we won't be able to reach to those targets. So yes, we know our targets, and this is the time where we want those targets to be shared and to be at the same time reached together with the different suppliers we have there. Of course, we are encouraging the suppliers to adapt to new sustainable approaches, look at more design elements where they could bring more specification of a green material, more sustainable solution that comes operationally. On the operation side itself, we have launched different projects taking this into actual actions. We have launched the retrofit project, which has been presented in different venues, where we have decided to spend and invest 140 million into different assets that we own and operate. And at the same time, right now, we're getting targets where these need to be looked at even by different third-party clients that we are serving. The pledge outcome itself, when we're looking at the different pledge outcome itself who have signed, you could see exactly this is a contribution of the different entire cycle of the development. You have the suppliers, you have the designers, you have the contractors, you have the operators as well on the ground. So this is clearly where you look at different contributors. So we're not focused completely at the design or build or development side. We're looking at the entire cycle, the full cycle, where we focus into design, build, and then operate. Within that even, we go into the suppliers of the material and how we can encourage them. So when you're looking at this was the contribution of the different partners who signed that pledge. Again, moving into how we measure the contribution itself. In a recent survey in November 2023, we want to check pulse how the market is when it comes from the supplier side exactly. So we went and asked the suppliers how committed they are to their net zero. So 36% have answered the question on yes, they are committed to the targets. They have set the targets and they know exactly what their targets. Sorry, it's not in percentage. I think it's in numbers. 20% are set with targets. 26 yes, in process to identify their targets, and 44% is no but willing to initiate. When you look at the numbers, these are great targets to focus for the coming years. When you have 44% who have not yet identified but willing to help, you could help them in sharing the knowledge, sharing the experience, sharing what are the targets that could be contributed and could be beneficial for their type of business. This is how the power of data can lead you to the next action and the next movement. Of course, our supplier, when we talk about the supplier plan, it won't just happen haphazardly. It needs to be more or less systematically. So we're talking about, we have talked about the training where we are uplifting the different scales of the different suppliers' targets to our level where we need to achieve, and then going into partnership, going more or less into MOUs, membership, going into framework agreements. These frameworks, it's not when you look at it from target emission and sharing of information, and at the same time investment as well. more business, sustainable business that continue. Sustainability has a financial impact definitely, and that financial impact will be clearly helping them here as well. And when I say a financial impact, I refer to the good financial impact where you are continuing the business with responsible suppliers through a responsible developer like us. And then you go to the next level where you are collaborating, where the plans of their decarbonization plans are already there. You start to capitalize on the synergies where things could be brought together, things could be designed together, developed together, and operated definitely into better ways. And then you go into the process where you start to develop a benchmark, a database, a land bank of information that could be shared across and definitely could be looked at with the different stakeholders and partners within the market. And of course, this happened in different batches. It happened in different upscales. We started, as I mentioned, we started with the 29 different suppliers, which is 67. During COP29 and even after COP29, the plan is we have signed with some even, we've taken it from a pledge into an MOU, and some of them with the frameworks, and some of them even we've signed with them business deals as well. The how is more or less how we are upscaling our programs. Our programs are going to happen into different training series sessions. So we are looking at how training could help, how we are taking, sometimes it's great to just to pass the message, but it will be greater to share the message. So this is how Yara and her team, among the team, have gone through different training sessions with the different suppliers. Then you collaborate with the pledge signatures and share their best practices. You start to share the data to enhance the carbon emission, and then regularly open and communicate with the suppliers and keep it engaged to provide the feedback and see how we could improve things. Again, let's not forget that this is all feeding into the targets of UAE as well. So this goes into the Ministry of Climate Change, into how we're collaborating with them. We are a supplier of choice, and we look at the suppliers as well, our choice as well, our preferred choice, due to the fact that we're looking together into this collaborative. We're looking together into how we demonstrate environmental responsibility. We are the supplier of choice because we want the advocate social responsibility to be shared between us as a developer and as part of the supply chain. We're demonstrating commitment to local procurement. Again, ICV is one of the targets that we are looking at. However, there are more tools that could bring local procurement, which leads into the sustainable criteria. We, as a choice of supplier, are not looking only for the supplier who are only willing to share their data or their targets. We are going beyond that, where we want to collaborate. We want to ensure that our targets are met together, the synergies could be brought together. We both have different targets, but at the same time, they are all in different ways of achieving them that could be synergized and could be collaborative together. This is a call of engagement, a call of we are all available here, the entire team here, Sayed, Faisal, Salwa, Yara, the entire team are here as well. Even during our stand where we are sharing the stand in IHC stand, Aldar is standing there completely. We could go and for more and more questions, more collaborative, more discussion as well. So if you have any questions or you have any clarification, any points as well, I might be able to answer some, or I might be able to direct it to some of my colleagues who are sitting as well with us today.
Yes. What is your source of funding? Is it mostly governmental funding, or is it private-public partnership?
So when it comes to funding, we are of course a private a stock company. So we are listed in the financial market. All our source of funding are clearly identified in our report. We have some fee-based projects that we do on behalf of the government for some of them, and some of them are actually our own funding within these projects. So one of the examples is the retrofit projects, where we could have funded some of these projects through different ESCOs. The decision was made internally through our investment team to fund all these projects by ourselves. So we serve the different shareholders that represents the ownership of the company.
I think something that we usually don't tackle and we don't see developers tackle are construction sites and contractors and suppliers. So how have you managed to kind of get contractors as well as suppliers on board?
So there is, first of all, when we talked about it, how the process happens is you try to encourage them. You try to make it a very attractive to them to be part there. I am the responsible client. I want you to be the responsible supplier. It was never a matter of forcing. It was a matter of trying to engage with them, try to encourage them, then you take them to the next level. So that's why how we are doing it through the training session, where we more or less provide them with the different training of our requirement. Then we take it to the next level, where we try to put it into a collaborative approach, and then we put it more or less into criteria. So right now, sustainability, for example, is one of our major items within the technical criteria of the different suppliers that come and bid for us. It is a must right now. In some of the projects, it even either by the client, the different clients that we are representing, or by our own team. It takes it into a higher set of criteria that has to be met. So we are trying, we're not forcing it, but we are trying to encourage it. Towards the end, we are responsible, and we're looking for responsible suppliers to be part of this pledge as well.
It's great to hear from Aldar that how committed they are. I can see that government of UAE is announcing double down by 2030. So with the amount of properties that you have, do you think you will be committed to do this by 2030? And how we as like contractors and supplier be involved proactively with you to assist in this? Maybe smaller ESCOs, not like bigger ESCOs like Siemens and others, but how can we like smaller ESCOs like local companies, come into picture and do proactively, they like solar systems and all energy efficiency systems.
So let's not forget one thing. Any action here counts. So regardless of where it's coming through the design activities and how we are implementing the different design requirements, or how we are looking at it from an ESCO point of view, we're looking at into post assets management, at the assets management and operating. So different scales will matter. How we are looking at it with the increase, we are putting the targets, we are putting the must-have within our development across Abu Dhabi, across Dubai, across Ras Al Khaimah, where we're focused completely within UAE. And at the same time, we're looking at all these at the right mission. We need to measure it so we know exactly how we can reduce these and achieve the targets. That's why if you look at when we looked at bending the curves at 2025, it happens through the right actions that are required. And this is whether you are a small ESCO or a small supplier, or whether you are part of a bigger one, you contribute. So all the contributors will matter. The different targets will need to be calculated. Again, offsetting certain things or certain activities need to be there. So all of that will be counted, and all of that is taken into action as well.
Thank you, Misbah, and everyone for attending. You mentioned that we have a great team behind this program in Aldar, and we take this very serious. And it's very important to collaborate with our supply chain. For the benefit of everyone here, I'd like to hear also from the team on one key challenge in this program when we started it, and how did we overcome this challenge. And I'd like to address it to a great female power that we have within the team, Yara, that you probably, most of you know. If you can elaborate on that.
Thank you very much, Salwa. So when we first started this climate pledge program, one of the key challenges that we have noticed is the level of maturity and knowledge across our supply chain. As Musbah mentioned, we have over thousands of suppliers registered with the Aldar, and we're working with many suppliers in the different fields, whether it's the contractors, consultants, whether it's the ESCO. So it's a very wide and diverse range of suppliers we're working with. So, and we can see that this from the results of the pledge. Approximately 20 to 30% are aware and have net zero targets in place. However, we have to focus on the remaining 70 to 80%, where we have identified this gap in knowledge, but we're taking this very seriously, where next year we're going to start this classroom series and share knowledge and to identify together opportunities where we can together reduce carbon emissions, and this is how we are going to plan this forward. So, and we do understand that we cannot do this without the support and the help of our suppliers. And these challenges are also with the ongoing initiatives that we have in place, such as the trainings, the ongoing trainings, whether the trainings with our contractors, where we have induction training at the beginning and the kickoff of every project, whether it's the regular and frequent trainings that we have for the full supply chain that under Aldar, whether it's the one-to-one trainings that we conduct and we ensure that we have open communication with our suppliers. So continuous efforts and planned efforts towards 2024 and the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you, Yara. So Yara and Salwa are part of the team who have led this completely from initiation all the way till it's what we see right now. Any more questions?
I have one more question. We have a great youth participant and audience with us. A big round of applause to her for attending the session. We'd love to ask Judy a question. Judy, what do you think your role will be in the future in sustainability and or not, and why?
My dad.
Your dad is? Who's your role model?
My dad.
We want to thank your dad for all the efforts he's doing in sustainability, and we look forward for you to be the Chief Sustainability Officer.
I hope Faisal does not hear that. So again, because we still have some time, I would like as well to engage a little bit more with the suppliers. We need to hear from the suppliers as well. We need to hear the challenges that they face as well, and how we can overcome all these challenges together. Again, our doors are open. We are in open channels all the time. We as Aldar, across our different entities, we work in different development, and we even operate our different assets, and we even operate on behalf of other clients. We have a wide different presence across Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Ras Al Khaimah. Internationally, we are in Egypt, we are in London. So we are available across, and at the same time, we are available to hear from the supply chain. We are available to hear from the partners who are willing to contribute with us, the partners who wants to work with us as well to achieve the targets that we have set together, inshallah. We are all open doors. We are available at any time. Again, I thank you all for attending, and I appreciate the time that I have spent with you, and thanks a lot. And Yara is telling me something before I forget. We would like to have a group picture, especially with the suppliers who are available here today, and everyone who can join us into the stage. Thank you all.